Hey photographers and denizens, with me today is Paul Chato, the host of Discovery Channel's Cyber Surfer and the host of his own podcast, video cast, the Science Tech Standup. So Paul's the funny one, and you'll know that I'm trying to be funny because I'll be holding my SM58.
You're going to have to tell them what Cyber Surfer was.
No, let that, Paul hosted a show I produced on Discovery Channel years ago, previous millennium.
It was horrible.
It wasn't horrible. It was the same, but it was the same thing you're doing on Science Tech Stand-Up now.
Thank you, yes.
Which is, you being funny about technology. But today, what we're going to talk about is NFTs or non-fungible tokens. I don't, is it even necessary to explain it? Because already the NFT thing is an abstraction. What we're really talking about here are ERC 721s.
Oh, you're going to go that deep right off the top?
Well, but this is the thing. As I've read about this over the last month, and there's certainly been enough press coverage about it. As I've read about this, I keep, and I don't know how to describe it. Either I'm walking up to the wall of a fortress and I can't see inside, and I have no idea what's happening on the other side, or I'm standing at the edge of an abyss that I'm about to fall into. So either way, I am so lost when it comes to this. But and I started with a question, which was, how, as a photographer, might I use NFTs to either protect my work or to sell my work? And
But I think starting with the definition of what a NFT is as it relates to a digital product would probably be helpful for your audience, honestly. I don't think you're going to do a disservice by not giving the definition.
All right. So we're going to start by talking about funging.
Yeah, what's fungible, what's not.
Right. So a general admission concert ticket is fungible. A
Correct.
Concert ticket that has a seat number on it is non-fungible.
Correct, but yes, the seat itself is referencing the seat as non-fungible, but the ticket can be replaced with another ticket. So that's what makes it fungible. A $5 bill is fungible.
Yes.
But if you've signed it, if Picasso signed the $5 bill, then it's not fungible.
Right. Then it's a piece of art. Right.
Correct.
But I kind of thought that analogy kind of captures the difference between something that's one thing that can be used for many things. This gets you into a concert, you can stand wherever you want. Whereas your fungible ticket gets you sit in that seat. You're not sitting somewhere else. This is not someone else's seat. This is your specific seat. That's
correct.
Yeah. So what value does that have for artists and creators? What is it that someone who creates art, who creates photographs, can do with that? So the question is, does that make it less easy to steal an object that you have created by wrapping it in or by attaching an NFT, one of these tokens, to it? So
it doesn't make it harder to steal.
No. So what is the value that's added by using this token? And maybe this is where we do need to back up and kind of explain what the token is. So the ERC 721, which is why I wanted to start with that, says that it's a Ethereum product. So it's part of the Ether currency value system. And that is a blockchain. So what that is any specific item that is part of the Ether construct has attached to it is a file that is a blockchain file, which means it can't be modified or stolen easily. I mean, I'm not going to say it's impossible because Ethereum already had to fork once to deal with a bunch of fraud and other issues. And the whole, before we talk about bit currency or digital currency in depth.
Oh, please don't get into it. Yeah, there's lots of things to talk about before we get there. A
I
lot of
know.
people are going to be, the main thing people want to know is ownership. Who owns it?
Right.
And how does that work?
Right.
And
So-
that's not that difficult a topic to discuss.
Okay. Well, then go ahead. Who owns it? And what is it that if you own an NFT, what is it that you own?
Ultimately, what it means is that you own the rights to it in the same way Getty might own the rights to a photo.
No.
So let's just stay in the photo realm because you're a photo guy and that's what you
Yeah.
mostly deal with. But so that's basically it. So the photographer still, depending on the contract, can own moral rights in that you, the purchaser of the photo, can't alter the photo in any way, but you can sell usage of that photo. So that's the simplest way to describe it. You become Getty Images.
No, but the only thing the token is a certificate that is attached to a specific instance of that photograph.
Right, but it gives
that
you the right.
val-
For instance, you get the right to sell usage of that photo if you want.
Yes, that's one of the possible implications, but that
Correct.
doesn't stop it from being stolen. That doesn't
No,
stop
not
it
at
from
all.
being
But it doesn't stop
reproduced.
people from stealing Getty Images.
Right. True, and it doesn't stop me from selling multiple versions of this image, each with their own NFT.
Correct.
I could mint 20,000 copies of an image and sell them with a non-fungible token, and all of those would be valid, correct images. But none of them unless that's part of what's in the token, include the copyright. I retain the copyright. I retain my
That's
original
another
image.
approach. The reason I'm staying away from that definition is because for your audience, photographers, probably rights management is a more
Yeah,
logical
absolutely.
thing for them to make money from, as opposed to photography as art.
But in that way, is it any different or any better to sell a photograph with an NFT attached to it using OpenSea or Foundation or one of the other marketplaces for NFTs, as opposed to selling them on SmugMug or wherever else it is you're going to sell your photographs?
It's just a choice. I'm just saying that probably for most of your audience, selling individual rights for usage is probably a more logical business model unless you're Helmut Newton and you're still alive. That those things become art and you're selling prints, digital prints. So those are just two different models. I guess the point that I'm making and what you're making is that NFT gives you that choice.
It's just one more way to sell. It's just one more marketplace. But it's no
Correct.
less prone to fraud or theft than any other marketplace.
Right, so
Once
then you
my
have
image
to
is
have an
online-
infrastructure to go after those people that are using your images illegally, just like it happens now.
Yeah, and NFT provides no more protection or no greater validity, partly because it's not been tested in court. But even if I were to assign rights within the NFT as part of the ERC 721 token to a person who's purchasing this so that they have the exclusive ownership or right to that image, that really is not what an NFT is designed to do. I'm sorry, in my mind, have I got that wrong?
No, well, again, it's a use case. So a better way to understand how it might work in a useful way is a song. So right now, let's say Spotify takes the
thought you were
songs
gonna
from
sing.
an artist through a publisher, and then they play the living crap out of it and give the publisher a big whack of cash, and then the publisher gives nothing to the artist. NFTs could allow the actual musician to sell directly to Spotify, and every single time they play it, they're going to pay based on the NFT model. So the artist would own their effort.
But that's not what the Kings of Leon are doing with their
No.
NFTs.
No, but they're doing something different because they're famous I mean, anyone could do it, but they're also adding all these value adds to anybody who buys a song.
Right. And is that the real eventual, is that the evolution of ERC 721? Do those contracts, does the blockchain token that's associated with whatever it is that you've purchased, whether it's a song or an image, entitle you to certain things that have been granted by the person who created the token?
Well, they're now just selling T-shirts outside of the venue. That's all this is, and so people, as they the younger generation are spending more and more time in the digital realm, these things are going to make way more sense.
Well, apparently they already make sense to a lot of people who have been buying all kinds of virtual assets in games. And again, that's not an environment that I've played in or that I've...
Well, Fortnite sold $2.8 billion worth of costumes, digital costumes. And then there was one point where World of Warcraft, there were people who would play World of Warcraft and get the value of your character up so you could go out and kill things much more easily, and then they would sell you all the work that they'd done, all the grinding. So you didn't have to grind. Some other person would grind on your behalf and then sell you their effort. So this has been going on for a while. Right.
But as numerous bubbles in this space, everything from CryptoKitties, actually many of them like Beanie Babies still have some value.
Yes.
But kind of the worst example here are ICOs, initial coin offerings, which really was just a fraud and a scam, to the largest extent possible, except for a few exceptions that kind of were bona fide and are still with us.
I don't know what that is.
But again, this is, and this is where I started with, sometimes I'm looking into an abyss and sometimes I'm standing outside a fortress. Because I can't tell which it is, because I decided that I would take, first I thought a video, but that proved not to be practical. So I took an image and I decided that I would submit it to an NFT marketplace to sell. And that proved to be a much, much, much more difficult enterprise than I imagined.
And it cost you some money, like 50 to 100 bucks?
It hasn't so far. And we can talk about gas in a minute.
Okay.
But I started by having to find a marketplace that would accept me. And so,
boy, okay. You're lost already. Like, who would accept you?
I know. And then Groucho Marx, I don't want to be a member of any club that would have me as a member.
Yeah, that's right.
Got that. Have me as a member. Got that right. Yeah. Sorry, I forgot to. There was an article in the New York Times by Kevin Roos about how he submitted an article to a marketplace called Foundation. I think that's the name. But I looked at Foundation. You have to qualify. They're not even accepting members. They must have, he must know someone on the inside who said, oh yeah, we'll do this for you. Because I am not getting myself onto that platform. The only platform that seems to be available to most of us without a lot of effort is OpenSea. And admittedly, Beeple is one of the famous.
Yes, his stuff is brilliant.
Yeah, right. Well, his marketing is brilliant. So it was OpenSea, and before I could kind of even get myself validated or into that community, I had to sign up for GitHub, which gave me some trepidation. I'm not a developer. I feel like that's not someplace I need to be. And then I had to also sign up.
I'm on GitHub.
Okay. This is why you're part of this conversation, right?
Correct.
And then I had to sign up for Fortmatic, which I guess is some kind of store for dApps. And more technology or more terminology that we didn't really understand before we started this project. But even after I'd done that, and I'd managed to upload an image, and I'd managed to attach a token to it, and none of this so far has cost me any gas.
Okay.
But the next thing, if I want to sell that image, now I have to have a crypto wallet. I've been calling them digital wallets, but people get that confused with, my Apple Pay or Google Pay or whatever. So crypto wallet. And that meant making a choice from dozens of vendors. And that was the point where I thought, I am looking into a black hole that is filled with thieves and fraudsters who want to do nothing except take my money from me. And that made me feel very uncertain about proceeding. So I have not yet found anybody who's going to validate or stand up for a specific crypto wallet. So I haven't taken that step. And until I take that step, I can't pay for actually selling the the photograph that I uploaded. And that's because the next step will involve me having to pay gas. And can you explain what gas is? Is that?
It just seems to be an entry fee to buy your blockchain processing.
It is, it's a processing fee. It's
a processing fee. Right. You have to pay because it costs to create a blockchain.
Right. The thousands of people who have created minting computers, or is there a better term for that, who are busy, they're not grinding, they're hashing or something else, that are trying to create ether value of their own.
Well, the era of being in a dorm room and hashing while you're in class, that's over. It's now taken over by larger entities with racks and racks of servers right next to a hydroelectric plant.
Yeah, because that's the amount of power that's being consumed, which is why all of these things, why all cryptocurrencies are being blamed for the death of whales. And,
yes, because Wales is a lousy country to visit. I mean, no one really wants. You don't understand anything anyone goes that says there. That you look at the signs and there's no vowels. I mean, who wants to go to Wales?
Yeah, I know all the places. I know all the places.
What does that mean?
Oh, it's the name of a place.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, I'm never going to be allowed into Wales. Oh, I'd like to go. I'm sorry. I apologize to all Welsh people who heard me say what I did. It was a cheap joke. That's all. I do want to go visit Wales.
Wales is like Canada in a lot of ways. They breed actors and comedians there.
Well, then I'll be at home there, unless they don't think I'm funny.
Right. But, just to bring this back to photographers, so I got to a place where I felt so uncomfortable taking the next step that I didn't do it. And I reached out to my friends, I reached out to you and other people, and nobody I know, nor their children, have a crypto wallet. So this is something that is still fairly far from the mainstream. It's in its infancy, but the NFTs have been around since
2017.
Yeah.
And like all technology, there's a quick uptake in the digital press, then it fails, everyone gets bored with it, and then sometime later, a couple more years later, when the infrastructure is put in place, it starts becoming popular and being available to regular people. But so there's two parts to this. In the meantime,
there's a lot of pump and dump, and there's a lot of scams going on as people try and cash in.
The scams are going to primarily be for people who don't know what they're doing and think that they're going to be selling artwork. This is why I talked about if you're a photographer and you're not famous, then the kind of Getty image model where you try to make money. You make money off of digital photographs as opposed to just giving it away on Unsplash. I think is a better opportunity. The idea of you selling it as art, or anything in the digital realm, Twitter, all these environments really are for the people with a brand. Like William Shatner is selling a ton of NFT stuff. He's a crypto guy, understands it, and has been in there early. But for the most part, it's the Kardashians and Jon Stewart. That's what, I mean, these are the people who have large followings on Twitter. I don't have a large following on Twitter. You don't have a large following on Twitter. Are you on Twitter?
No, not anymore.
Okay, so you have a very small following.
Uncomfortable environment.
Well, I mean, then you should be dressing up. But so the point is that you don't oversell it. It's not going to be of much value to people who are not famous. Bottom line.
So unless you can attract or have already attracted an audience, and I do have more than 100,000 subscribers, so there's some level of, but I don't think I'm going to convince, they'll let me know in the comments whether I'm going to convince any of my subscribers to purchase any of the images I might have made or will make in the future as NFTs. Well,
and that's the point, isn't it?
Mainly because they're on Flickr, and if you want them for free, you just take them for free. I mean,
you better take them off Flickr now. I think you're losing millions of dollars, Maarten. And then the other thing we should all be considered, how long will this last? There's something called bit rot. I don't know anything about it. And then there's the situation, will the file format, will JPEG be used in 50 years?
Those are probably problems that will get solved. But one of the issues that I would raise is that all of these computers that are currently busy processing and validating all of the blockchain transactions, if those people are not making money from the support that they're providing to this environment, that's not going to last very long either.
They must have done the math that in the long run they will, and that's how they're being funded.
Well, we can hope that that's true. But
I've heard a couple are making money, but these operations are huge now.
Right, and it requires that, and all of the. So what that means is that if you thought your blockchain was widely distributed, so wasn't easily hacked, forged, misappropriated, that era will come to an end when all of the blockchain transactions are being done by a few server farms owned by large corporations. Suddenly, everything that you thought was widely distributed, it no longer is.
And one of the things, an interesting quote that I read, and I'm going to get this completely wrong, but it'll give you the scope of it, is that we have this notion that blockchain uses a ton of electricity and banks don't. And they had a statistic that had, I'm just going to throw out a number, that blockchain requires right now 1 trillion gigawatts of electricity per year or something. But then they said the banks actually use the same amount.
I'm certain that there are many ways that we use electricity for financial transactions. It's nice to, point the finger of blame at things like blockchain or Bitcoin or Ethereum or wherever it is that we're going to point the finger.
Banks are going to get their own.
Yeah, no one's hands are clean here.
So what we've done here is just start the discussion. We're definitely not going to finish the discussion right now.
No. So
thank you for having me.
Well, it's always a pleasure chatting with you. It always has been. It's and good luck with your future stand-up endeavors. I hope
I'm enjoying.
You're making this transition successfully.
I'm really enjoying Science Tech Stand-up. It's more fun, and it's great being in the room with you right now, and we don't have to worry about COVID, and I can touch you and everything, molest you, and nothing.
You're green screened over there. This is not. Stop pretending. This is something I really want to do.
That they can't tell I'm green screened. Are you serious? You are such a straight dude. Wow.
Yeah.
Maarten is the most straight up person you will ever find.
I like an odd glass of wine. I'm not.
Woo! Whoa! He's going crazy.
Anyway, thanks so much
See, this
for
is
joining me
Maarten
today.
I know.
Yes.
Yeah, so he's going to sign off, and I'm just going to look at him.
Oh, that's cool. Thanks very much. Thanks very much for joining us today. I certainly appreciate your time. Hopefully there was some value in this. Please comment, questions. I do read and reply to them all. I know it's an unusual thing. Anyway, thanks for watching. Stay safe. Thanks, Paul.
Thanks, Maarten.